5 to 10 knots. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Light freezing spray in the morning. Monday night, west winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming north after midnight. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Tuesday, northeast winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming east 10 to 15 knots in the afternoon. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Tuesday night, south winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet, building to 4 to 6 feet after midnight. Wednesday, southwest winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Wednesday night, south winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 5 feet. A chance of rain. The following is a summary of watches, warnings, and advisories in effect. A storm warning remains in effect until midnight Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine location, Cape Cod Bay. A storm warning remains in effect until midnight Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine locations, coastal waters east of Ipswich Bay and the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary, and coastal waters from Provincetown, Massachusetts to Chatham, Massachusetts to Nantucket, Massachusetts out 20 nautical miles. A storm warning remains in effect until midnight Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine location, Massachusetts Bay and Ipswich Bay. A storm warning remains in effect until midnight Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine location, Boston Harbor. A freezing spray advisory remains in effect from 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until noon Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine location, Cape Cod Bay. A freezing spray advisory remains in effect from 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until noon Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine locations, coastal waters east of Ipswich Bay and the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary, and coastal waters from Provincetown, Massachusetts to Chatham, Massachusetts to Nantucket, Massachusetts out 20 nautical miles. A freezing spray advisory remains in effect from 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until noon Eastern Standard Time Sunday for the following marine location, Massachusetts Bay and Ipswich Bay. Here are the 9 a.m. observations for the Boston metropolitan area. In Boston, heavy snow and fog were reported, reducing the visibility to 1/4 of a mile. The temperature was 18 degrees, the dew point 15, and the relative humidity 88%. The wind was north at 25 miles an hour, gusting to 37 miles an hour, producing a wind chill of 0. The pressure was 29.66 inches and falling. Elsewhere around the region, in northeast Massachusetts, at Beverly, fog, temperature 17, wind north at 20, gusting to 36. In southeast Massachusetts, at Marshfield, snow, temperature 28, wind north at 20, gusting to 44. At Plymouth, out on Cape Cod and the islands, at Falmouth, snow, temperature 30, wind northeast at 38, gusting to 54. In Hyannis, fog, temperature 33, wind north at 26. At Chatham, heavy snow and fog, temperature 32, wind northeast at 24, gusting to 46. At Provincetown, on Martha's Vineyard, heavy snow and fog, temperature 31, wind north at 30, gusting to 52. And on Nantucket, heavy snow, temperature 35, wind north at 53, gusting to 70. Once again, repeating the 9 a.m. weather for the Boston metropolitan area, heavy snow and fog were reported. The temperature was 18 and the wind was north at 25, gusting to 37. The National Marine Fisheries Service announces that a voluntary vessel speed restriction zone under the Right Whale Slow Zone program is currently in effect southeast of Nantucket, Massachusetts to protect an aggregation of right whales. All mariners and recreational boaters are requested to route around this area or transit through it at 10 knots or less. The southeast of Nantucket slow zone is bounded by the following coordinates: 41 degrees 14 minutes north latitude, 40 degrees 27 minutes north latitude, 68 degrees 58 minutes west longitude, 70 degrees 00 minutes west longitude. Here are 9 a.m. conditions across southern New England's coastal waters. Off the east coast of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, at Isle of Shoals Tower, the wind was north at 41 knots, with gusts up to 47 knots. At Boston Buoy, located 16 nautical miles east of Boston, the wind was north at 37 knots, with gusts up to 49 knots. Seas were 20 feet every 10 seconds, and the water temperature was 44 degrees. At Massachusetts Bay Buoy, located 25 miles east-northeast of Boston, the wind was northeast at 37 knots, with gusts up to 47 knots. Seas were 14 feet at Gulf of Maine Buoy, located 85 nautical miles east of Portsmouth. The wind was east at 39 knots, with gusts up to 49 knots. Seas were 14 feet every 9 seconds, and the water temperature was 45 degrees. To the south and east of Cape Cod, at Nantucket Sound Buoy, wind north at 35 knots, gusting to 45 knots, and the water temperature was 36 degrees. At Nantucket Buoy, located 54 nautical miles southeast of Nantucket, the wind was northeast at 35 knots, with gusts up to 49 knots. Seas were 20 feet every 10 seconds, and the water temperature was 48 degrees. At George's Bank Buoy, seas were 13 feet, and the water temperature was 44 degrees. And off the south coast of New England and Long Island, at Buzzards Bay Tower. At Montauk Point Buoy, wind north at 37 knots, gusting to 49 knots, seas were 15 feet. At Long Island Buoy, gusting to 45 knots, seas were 14 feet, and the water temperature was 43 degrees. At Block Island Buoy, seas were 15 feet, and the water temperature was 45 degrees. Around Narragansett Bay, observations courtesy of the National Ocean Service ports. At Providence, the wind was northeast at 21 knots, with gusts up to 32 knots. At Connecticut Point, and the water temperature was 35 degrees. On Prudence Island, the wind was northeast at 24 knots, with gusts up to 36 knots. At Quonset Point, the wind was north at 26 knots, with gusts up to 36 knots. At Newport, the wind was north at 26 knots, with gusts up to 36 knots. At Fall River, and the water temperature was 36 degrees. Here is the official National Weather Service forecast for Massachusetts